Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Wrestling Unlimited as it's Wednesday and we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite. You got me, you got Luke over here on this side. Luke, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? I'm doing fantastic. I thought Dynamite was a good show. I mean, there were some good matches and I enjoyed it.
I mean, I would say overall I enjoyed tonight's Dynamite and it was a good show, but I will say right now that, and no offense to the women on this show, but that women's segment and that women's title match was absolute ass garbage.
I agree.
They
with that.
They made, and we'll talk about it when we get to it, every woman that was out there looked like just somebody on the roster. Nobody felt special. Nobody, even Toni Storm, who's the interim champion, felt special. Not even. Like, they all just felt like random people on the roster that they threw out there because they wanted to get a bunch of people on TV at one time. And, like, Paige is over here on commentary. I just made change, and I'm going to make more in the future. What change? You announced that this is a lumberjack? I'm like, other than that, I enjoyed the show. I loved all the Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia stuff. I thought Chris Jericho and Bandito was a really good match. They kind of were off at the beginning for the first, 2 or 3 minutes, but soon as they connected and clicked, that match was phenomenal. And we had other good matches and stuff on the show as well. But with that, I do want to say thank you if you are watching live, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, or if you're watching or listening later, whether that's youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited or podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Also, remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can be like Rosario9248 recently was and subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can be like Jimmy Too Sweet and subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and they always give you one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I'd greatly appreciate it if you use that one subscription right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And remember, it doesn't even have to be your Amazon Prime account. It can be anybody's. And then if you're using somebody else's, then that means it's absolutely free for you. Plus, right now, if you do a tiered subscription, it's September, so that's 20% off your subscription. Hey, it's the perfect time right now to subscribe here on Twitch. But remember, on the flip side, if you are watching on YouTube, you can join us over there as well by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. Become a channel member, getting early access to news, early access podcast episodes, early access non-news videos, and so much more. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming one of the free games, or you're getting bucks for Rocket League, Rumbleverse, Fall Guys, or Fortnite, you're going to want to use this code down here, PW Unlimited. Fortnite, a week and a half ago now, started their new season. So if you haven't gotten in on the new Paradise season, well, use the code right here, PW Unlimited, for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. You'll be directly supporting us without having to pay anything extra in the long run. So again, another way to support us. And if you're already spending money through Epic, well, put the code in. It doesn't take you any more than 10 seconds. But as far as tonight's Dynamite does go, the show kicked off with Excalibur welcoming us to what he called a new era of AEW following Grand Slam last week. As he has been for a while now, he was joined on commentary by both Tony Schiavone and Taz. Judas played, and we got the Chris Jericho ROH World Championship celebration, or as they called it, the Jericho Ocho celebration. So the JAS minus Jake Hager, not sure why Hager wasn't there, all came out wearing purple suits. You had Jericho, Sammy, Ty, Anna Jay, 2.0, and Daniel Garcia. So they're in the ring and they got, matching flowers and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you see pizza boxes and then Luigi Primo. And this was kind of a controversial topic tonight on Twitter, I guess. I don't know exactly the whole story with Luigi Primo, but from what I read on Twitter, he's an anti-vaxxer, and he used to run or does run a company where everybody quit when they found out he didn't, or somebody, or multiple. I don't know the whole story, so I'm not going to try to pretend I do. But from what I read on Twitter, he's an anti-vaxxer. He was working with other anti-vaxxers in a company he was running, and when people found out, they all quit the company. So I don't know what's up with him and why people were kind of upset that he was on the show tonight. But yeah, he was there just in the background, swirling around his fake pizza dough. Angelo Parker would take the mic first and call the people of Philadelphia losers. He said, but tonight, they will give them a celebration and something to celebrate because the Ocho is here. Daddy Magic said that he put the call in for Luigi Primo, who got a big reaction from the live crowd until he said his pizza was from New York. Then they didn't like that. Anna Jay said that the fans don't get any pizza, but they get the greatest Ring of Honor world champion of all time in Chris Jericho. Jericho called himself the most honorable man and the most watched champion in ROH history. He calls this era Ring of Jericho and said that tonight, Bandito will get the rematch for the ROH World title that he was never granted. Jericho would then go to put over Daniel Garcia. He said, hey, I got a present for you. And when he opened up the box, it was a purple bucket hat. And Taz on commentary was like, that's a bucket hat, Excalibur. And Excalibur goes, great analysis there, Taz. I actually popped for that one. So Jericho put over Daniel Garcia. Garcia then took the hat off and actually threw it down. He would then look like he was about to hit Jericho when instead he would knock out Luigi Primo and then told Jericho he's had enough. He's had enough of all these games. Jericho stopped him before he can say that he was leaving the JAS. Told him, you're going to make the wrong decision. Don't do it. He said that there's no choice but to stay with us. Jericho then asked Garcia, are you a sports entertainer or a pro wrestler? As the crowd was chanting, you're a wrestler. Before Garcia could answer, Bryan Danielson, his music would hit and he would come out to the ring. Also, Regal came out on commentary as well. Danielson said that he respects Garcia's decision to stay with the JAS if that's the move he makes, or to come join the Blackpool Combat Club. Jericho said that Garcia belongs to him, which led to Garcia getting in his face. Garcia asked, would throwing pizza on the ground be entertaining? He then tossed a box of pizza out of the ring. He said, would teaming with Bryan Danielson be entertaining? Would me teaming with Justin Roberts be entertaining? How about me against Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho as I team with Bryan Danielson next week? Is that entertaining? Matt Menard would then get in his face. He would tell Garcia that basically over the last year we made you. You had nothing, you had nobody, and we took you under our wing. Danielson and Garcia kind of looked at each other and laughed. Danielson said, good news. He's allowed to wrestle anybody he wants right now. And because Daddy Magic's ready to fight, he's going to fight him. And that led to, I want to say like a 12 to 15 minute opening segment. But this first talking segment, like everyone criticizes WWE. Oh, 20-minute opening talking segment. AEW doesn't do that. And that's what they did tonight. And it was okay. I didn't think it was all that great. It was bearable.
I didn't really care.
Go for it.
I didn't really care for like the first part of it because I didn't really understand why Luigi Primo was out there.
No one
like,
did.
I don't think it really didn't make any sense to me.
But go for it.
I mean, I think eventually, like, I do think eventually we'll get Daniel Garcia versus Jericho for the ROH belt.
And that's what I was gonna say. So,
but
go for it.
Go for it.
Oh, so
here's
the thing. So unless they're gonna like make Garcia double champion, or if he's gonna merge the pure title with the world title, or drop the pure, basically, I want Garcia to be the one to take the title off of Jericho. I know there are some people on Twitter so fast forward to the very end of the show really quick because it all plays in. Jericho said that he wants to take on all the great former Ring of Honor world champions of the past that he can, So that would be, the first one's going to be Danielson. It's been announced. Danielson, Jericho, October 12th. But then he's got, CM Punk's a former ROH world champion.
Jay
Lethal. We've got Adam Cole. And it doesn't just have to be people that are still in Ring of Honor. It can be people that are not signed anywhere. Christopher Daniels is a former Ring of Honor world champion. Let's see, I'm pulling up the Wikipedia right now.
Dalton Castle.
Right. Where is the list of former champions?
There's Matt Taven as well.
True. If Impact will let him do it. Yeah, I remember he's with Impact right now. Oh, here it is. The list of former champions. So let's see if we're saying Jericho's going to go through as many guys as possible. We've got, is he ready to face Claudio, where he took the title from Claudio. He's going to face Danielson. Jonathan Gresham took on Bandito. Roosh is in AEW, so that's an easy one to set up. PCO and Matt Taven are in Impact. Maybe they can work out a deal there. You said Dalton Castle. Yep. Cody, that ain't going to happen. Christopher Daniels is an easy one. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. I would say Jay Briscoe, but they can't get him on AEW television, so maybe at a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Michael Elgin, but I don't see them using Michael Elgin just because of his past. They won't be able to get Owens, maybe Davey Richards. Again, Eddie Edwards also in Impact, so you have to work that out. Roddy and Seth Rollins are in WWE. They got Jerry Lynn. He works as a producer backstage. I don't know if he'd do it, but yeah, there's a good number of guys. Homicide. Give me Jericho versus Homicide. How about that?
I love that match.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, Austin Aries is a former ROH world champion, but I don't know about that one. So it's going to be interesting to see because Jericho's like, I want to face all the great former ROH world champions. So the interesting thing will be, A, how many does he face? And B, who? And in turn, is that, AEW saying these are considered the greatest former ROH world champions. So it should be interesting. But I think I saw a lot of people on Twitter after that announcement from Jericho going, they should have Adam Cole come back and beat him for the title. The one champion he can't beat, Adam Cole. I'm like, well, why would that make any sense? No, I think he should run through all these world champions. And then the guy that beats him is not a former world champion, but Daniel Garcia. Just my opinion. I think it would cap off the full story if Garcia is the one that took the title off of him.
So here's the question. Do they do this on AEW or do they wait until the Ring of Honor gets their own show? Because wasn't their plan, I think you said this last week, their plan was to and since they have Chris Jericho as their champion, it could help them get a TV deal.
So that's what I was assuming. That maybe with Chris Jericho, the champion, it puts more eyes on the Ring of Honor brand and the Ring of Honor name. And then maybe they can get a TV deal off of that. Tony Khan did state that he has talked to Warner Brothers Discovery about Ring of Honor and what kind of TV situation they can do there. I don't know how far in those talks were or whatever, but I believe that for now, all of this Jericho as the champion stuff is just going to be on AEW TV, whether that's Dynamite or Rampage. I still think that they should, because they do the Universal shows, the Universal Studio live tapings or whatever you want to call them, they should add an extra hour to those tapings if possible and just film a bunch of Ring of Honor stuff there and then throw it up on YouTube. Because like I said last week, you start creating the Ring of Honor content now, independent from AEW, and that's what you can use to go, hey, look, this is what we're doing. Here's our concept of what our Ring of Honor is. Can we use your TV platform? Can we get on TV with you? So I still think they need to do something other than integrate it and get it. Now that Jericho's the champion, I can't really say what I was going to say, but I was going to say it's Ring of Honor's been lost in AEW. But now that Jericho's the champ, at least that title is going to be featured heavy. Because, I mean, no offense, but even when Claudio was the champion, I honestly at one point forgot he was the champion.
Yeah, and honestly, they can't really just be like, "Hey, we just have Chris Jericho as the champion. Can we be on your show?"
I mean, yes and
Or like
no.
this,
Right. Go for it.
or like this, what Ring of Honor was in the past. Like they can't just use like past Ring of Honor because that's like a different Ring of Honor.
Right.
Like this is like now Tony Khan's Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
So like Tony Khan needs to like show what his Ring of Honor is about before you try to get on TV.
I mean, but you can always use the whole, well, they got the TNT deal before our AEW ran a show.
Yeah, but they had those pay-per-views though before they got TV deal. I would
No,
assume.
they announced the TNT deal before the first Double or Nothing pay-per-view. It was like the week before they announced it, before the first pay-per-view. But, where was I going with this? I had something, now I just lost it. Regardless, I think they need to start doing stuff with Ring of Honor independent from AEW and not just the pay-per-views every here and there. Because the whole thing is like the pay-per-views, half of the matches on the pay-per-views are just random slapped together matches with guys you don't even see on AEW television. And then it's like, well, why should I care about this? You're not doing anything with them on AEW. You don't have a Ring of Honor show to tell us that this guy is important and we should watch him on the pay-per-view. So they need to do something. And I get it. A lot of people have also told me, oh, they probably just bought it for the tape library, which, true. That's a very good thing to have. But if you're going to run it like another company, if you're going to run it with your championships out there, then you need to start doing it outside of AEW. And I know I'm saying the same thing over and over, so it doesn't get lost like it was starting to. Like I said, even with Claudio as the champion, I felt like ROH was getting lost in the shuffle. So hopefully with Jericho as the champion, it doesn't anymore. But at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, Jericho's the world champion. He's going to be featured well. But what about everybody else that's considered Ring of Honor? So as we move forward, Bryan Danielson took on Matt Menard in a pretty good match. Regal was on commentary. He called Excalibur a Rice Krispie treat and could snap, crackle, and pop him anytime. I'm like, oh, Lord. So the whole thing now is, at first it was just Regal was saying these flirtatious things to Excalibur, but now the joke is that he says these things to Excalibur, and then it makes Taz a little uncomfortable, which is kind of funny, but I think it's kind of been overdone already. So Danielson had control early on until Menard took over on the outside. Menard controlled Danielson through the entirety of a commercial break with a short arm clothesline. They got him a 2 once we came back. At one point, we saw Danielson hit a moonsault out of the corner and hit multiple charging knees in the corner as well. There's kicks to the chest until Parker pulled his partner outside to save him from a home run kick. This led to Parker's distraction on Danielson, and this was enough for Menard to crotch Danielson on the post, and Parker hit him with a DDT. Back inside the ring, Danielson kicked out at 2, and Claudio hit the ring to take out Parker and even the odds. Danielson then ducked a lariat, hit the Busaku knee, and put on the label lock to pick up the submission victory. Overall, a solid match. I didn't even really hate, like usually in AEW, I criticize them for all the outside interference, but honestly, I didn't hate it because it's, I guess you could say, the 2.0 thing. It's what they do, and it's their thing. But it's when you start overly doing it. They didn't overly, I feel like this match didn't overly do the outside interference, so I was cool with it, and it worked. Good match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you with not overdoing it and bringing out Claudio to like kind of stop it. Like,
right,
that was done really well. So I enjoyed that.
So they then told us that Jericho's defending the title later on against Bandito, and we'd learn more about Bandito later, which we really didn't, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. We then got a brief video package hyping up Jon Moxley against Juice Robinson. They let us know that Juice Robinson is a free agent, not actually signed to New Japan, And we'll see what that actually means. I don't know if he's really a free agent or if that's like his storyline thing. Because he's been saying it for a while that I'm a free agent. And then we heard he's signed a new deal with New Japan. And now he's saying he's a free agent again. So I don't know what's going on with Juice.
Didn't Jay Lethal do the exact same thing?
Basically, yes. He was like
everybody thought everyone thought he was leaving New Japan, but then he came back.
Yeah, he did the whole, after Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago, he was like, that's it. I'm tired of this company. I'm leaving when my contract's up at the end of the month. And now he's still there and he's their world champion. That was like 2 years ago. So we got a recap of the MJF Wheeler Yuta stuff from last week. They then said that MJF was going to come out to speak, but instead, Wheeler Yuta stormed the ring. Yuta didn't have a problem with what he and his lackey did last week, MJF's lackey, that is. But throwing down a legend like Tony Schiavone, well, that crossed the line for Yuta. Yuta said that MJF hides behind factions. He hides behind other people. He hides behind the microphone. And he can't hang with Wheeler Yuta in the ring. Yuta said that MJF ain't going to come down here and speak to me, so I'll do all his insults for him. And he said all these different things. And then MJF came out. MJF came out wearing a Mets jersey. MJF said that Yuta is from Philly, the place you live if you can't afford to live in New York. And I'm like, okay, that's a regional joke because I get it. New York's expensive to live in. But as somebody that's really only ever lived in California and Texas, I don't know the cost disparity, I guess is what it would be, between living in Philadelphia and New York. So that joke kind of didn't hit for me because it's too regional of a joke. It's like, okay, is New York really that more expensive than Philly? Maybe. I don't know. MJF asked how Schiavone was doing and called him a fat old prick that won't do anything in retaliation. MJF put over Yuta briefly, saying he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, until he said that he had to spank Yuta last week on the microphone. He said Daddy had to put him in his place. MJF used a Phillies insult that Yuta had already actually used earlier. Yuta cut him off and said if MJF doesn't want to fight in the ring, he'll leave him in a pool of his own blood out on Broad Street. Yuta then jumped out of the ring and went to go after MJF on the ramp, but out would come the Gun Club. Gun Club looked like they were ready to fight just in case they needed to. MJF was like, hey, I'm not the kind of guy that gets into brawls. You know what? Next week, in that dump of Washington, D.C., I'll take you on. We'll have a match next week. So it is official. MJF versus Wheeler Yuta next week on Dynamite. The anniversary show of Dynamite. So what was this? What is this, the 4-year anniversary? See, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, 22. This will be the fourth anniversary. Because at first, MJF was like, should we fight tonight? And he's like, no. Then he went to do his catchphrase and said Philly doesn't deserve his catchphrase. He then told Austin Gunn, tell him my catchphrase for me. I don't need to do it. Yuta then held his own mic and had the crowd behind him as they chanted something. I can't remember. I didn't write it down, but they were chanting something with the F word to MJF. And like they, for some reason, right at the moment that the crowd said fuck, I felt like the audio got louder for a second. It was weird. Also, MJF said shit and they did their stupid bleep it out. But I'd be fine if they just bleeped it or muted it. But they're doing this weird thing where when someone says a bad word, you hear, ah, like weird, overly volumed and overly mixed crowd noise. It's weird.
Yeah, I hear that as well. I don't like that as well. They should just, if they're gonna bleep something out, just bleep it out. Don't add crowd noise.
No.
In the back of it.
What is that? Either do the
bleep it out.
Either do this, or I don't know if you guys heard that, but it's the bleep, or just mute it. Like that's what WWE does. If someone says like a shit or something, they just mute it. We got a quick video promoting Darby Allin versus Jay Lethal next week on Dynamite. Before out came John Moxley to take on Juice Robinson with MJF sitting up in the skybox. Regal back on commentary. And this match is really good. I really, really enjoyed this match. And I mean, I knew we would enjoy it. I knew it would be a good match because this is, I think, third or fourth time these two have now fought. Because I think they had, I want to say 3 New Japan matches. And then this one here is the first time they fought one-on-one in AEW. Or I think at all in AEW. Robinson took too long posing early on, and Moxley clotheslined him to the floor to officially start the match. Moxley sent Robinson over the ring attendance table. And then there was a forearm battle in the ring that led to Robinson hitting a couple jabs. Moxley quickly cut him off, but Robinson bit him in the face. Robinson then took too long posing again, and this time he was trying to go for the cannonball, but Moxley wiped him out. They spilled to the outside, where Robinson finally hit the cannonball against the railing. Robinson sent Moxley over the same ring table, only this time Moxley, well, came up bleeding, because it ain't a John Moxley match if you ain't bleeding. Robinson then controlled Moxley throughout the entire break, even wiping Moxley's blood across his own face. Moxley was set up a chair at one point, but Robinson missed the cannonball off the apron. No, he was set on a chair, and Robinson missed the cannonball off the apron through the chair. Moxley then hit a tope before heading back into the ring. Both men collided with lariats until Moxley dropped Robinson with a cutter for a 2. There's an ankle lock into an STF that led to Robinson getting the rope break, and then Juice got a thumb in the eye and hit a powerbomb for a 2. Moxley nearly got the Death Rider, but Robinson countered into a pulp friction for another near fall. Robinson tried a reverse airplane spin, but Moxley wiggled out, hit a running knee, cross arm breaker, and got the submission. I thought this is a very good showing for Juice Robinson. As, like I said, we've seen in the past, he and Moxley have great chemistry in the ring together. They work fantastic together, and this didn't disappoint as I expected.
Also, fun fact, Juice Robinson was actually Moxley's first opponent after Mox left WWE, I believe.
You might be right. I can look it up.
Because didn't he fight Juice for that United States title?
Right.
That was like his first match.
I believe so, but I don't remember if that was his first match after WWE. I can tell you in just a second. Let's see. 2019. You would be correct there. June 5th, 2019. His first match after leaving WWE. It was a month and a half after he left. He defeated Juice to win the United States Championship in a 24-minute match. Dang. So yeah, you're right. That was his first match after leaving WWE. So after this match, out would come Hangman Page. Page walked down and stared at Moxley, basically just saying, I'm here, I'm aware of you, I got my title shot in 2 weeks. MJF was then again shown up in the suite when he was attacked by Wheeler Yuta. Well, actually, I think MJF said that they're fighting to lose, as whoever's the champion coming out of their match will face him and lose to him. Wheeler then attacked MJF from behind. They fought a little bit into the crowd, and security separated everything with MJF yelling, he needs to be arrested. What? He needs to be arrested? Well, MJF needs to be arrested because MJF unprovokingly assaulted Wheeler Yuta last week. So, hey, if MJF thinks that Wheeler Yuta needs to be arrested for his actions tonight, then fuck it. Arrest MJF for his actions last week, not only to Yuta, but to Tony Schiavone. Just saying.
Also, there was no Jim Ross on commentary as well.
They've been saving him for Rampage every week for the last month. Very interesting. I don't know why.
And also, I don't understand why they're doing Hangman versus Mox right now, because Hangman, he ain't winning the belt.
No one believes it.
Because is it just to do this just to make Mox try to look tough against MJF?
I guess, and just to put on solid quality matches on television. But it's okay, how many times I feel like they're redoing Hangman from when ROH or when AEW started. Hangman is very loved by the fans. Hangman is a top talent, but he just can't get the big one done. And now they're doing it again, where everybody loves Hangman, but he's in a slump and he can't get the big one done right now. And it's just, I don't like that. Because now, every time we see Hangman in a title match or even a big match, most likely you're sitting there going, all right, well, I know Hangman ain't going to win. You know, it's like, it's just too much. They're overdoing it with Hangman challenging and nothing coming of it.
Yeah, and it's just going to hurt Hangman for whatever they have next for him.
Oh, totally. So Excalibur throws it to a Bandito video, briefly highlighting his time as ROH World Champion. Then they showed Jericho winning the title, and I'm like, whoa, why do we need any of Jericho in this video if it's supposed to tell the fans who don't know who Bandito is, who Bandito is? I didn't like that. But it's all good because they ended up having a really, really, really good match. And then we went in to probably one of the worst things AEW has done in a very long time. And no offense to Saraya or anything, but this absolutely sucked. So there's a Saraya. Go for it.
This was the only thing that I did not like about tonight's show. I thought everything else was good, but this is absolutely terrible. Like, they need to do a better job at running their women's division.
Right?
Like, seriously.
They do. Go for it.
I want them to have a good women's division.
Same.
Like, all these other companies have amazing women's divisions, but like AEW just has so much potential to have a good women's division, but they just need to run it better.
Excuse me. They have handful or two of good female wrestlers. It's just the way they're booked, nobody cares. Because that's kind of how we've been trained. Oh, we have women. We have to hit the quota of women time on the show, and then we go about our business. There's a video package of Saraya's surprise debut last week, and then Justin Roberts introduces her to a pretty good ovation from the crowd. Saraya made her way down to the ring and did the whole, I'm back. She then said that, yes, I'm damaged, but I'm not broken. And that line right there told us she is not cleared. Because if she was cleared, she would not tell us that she's hurt, damaged, any of that. She would say, I can fight. But to say that, yes, I'm damaged, basically told us, and we got more confirmation of that later when she didn't stay at ringside for the Lumberjack match and immediately got out of there, but it basically tells us she's not cleared yet. She said, I'm damaged, not broken. I will create change in the women's division here in AEW because I am the revolution. She said, I was a revolution and I am the revolution here. Saraya said that AEW is officially her house and wants all the ladies to come out. And then, like, what, 4 ladies come out? Toni Storm, Athena, Madison Rain. 5. Toni Storm, Athena, Madison Rain, Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale. So they make their way out on the stage. Go for it.
Surprised to see no Jade Cargill since she was the TBS title. And they said all the women's division.
So here, give me 30 seconds and I will exactly tell you why I think there was no Jade. So we get all the women I said, and they walk out on stage, and Saraya's like, no, come in the ring with me. Like they didn't want to or something. So they get in the ring, and she's like, we've got Toni Storm here, who is now fine. This is one of 2 jabs she took at WWE. She said, we have Toni Storm here, who is actually finally being fully utilized to her full potential. And she's the AEW Women's Champ. Then she talked about some of the other women, and out came Britt Baker with Rebel, Jamie Hayter, Penelope Ford. Now, technically, Serena Deeb is part of whatever this Baker thing is going to be, because I say part of this Baker thing, because I can see this leading to the first ever women's blood and guts match in AEW. And you don't need Jade for that. I wouldn't put Jade in blood and guts because A, she's way too, and I almost can't say this anymore. inexperienced for blood and guts. But I wouldn't put Jade in a blood and guts match. Especially her as the TBS champion, because it's like, okay, so her team automatically we know has to win. But then Jade's team can lose and she can go, I'm still undefeated. I think Jade wasn't out there because, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think this is going to lead to some sort of a woman's blood and guts. And we don't need Jade in woman's blood and guts, because why is Jade going to join one of these two teams when she already has her group of baddies with, what is her name? Layla Gray, Kira Hogan, and Red Velvet whenever she comes back. So that's why I think Jade wasn't out there, because it's leading to some bigger match that she doesn't need to be part of. But where was I? Like I said, Britt Baker came out with Rebel, Jamie Hayter, Penelope Ford. Baker called Saraya nothing but a catchphrase, and then properly did her catchphrase, DMD. Baker said that she's put her neck on the line for All Elite Wrestling. Unlike Saraya, her neck is strong enough to handle it. Baker then made fun, saying that no one even knows how to say her name. Is it Saraya? Psoriasis? And then she said the word shit, and they bleeped it out, which popped Taz. Baker was cutting her promo, and the crowd was chanting for Jamie Hayter. And she was saying something about Serena Deeb is going to be a very hard challenger for Toni Storm. And then as they're chanting for Jamie Hayter, she goes, oh, and Tony, be glad you're not facing Jamie Hayter tonight, because she'd beat you for the belt. Out will then come Serena Deeb. Baker told everyone, clear the ring, clear the ring, clear the ring. We got a match. And I'm like, okay, so Britt makes the rules? Britt's in charge? And then all of a sudden Saraya puts herself in charge. And it's like, well, I have a boss, and this is her second dig at WWE. I have a boss that actually listens to me backstage now. And he said that I can do this right here. We're going to have the first ever women's lumberjack match in All Elite Wrestling. Oh, and the title's on the line. Like, what? Just to be like, oh, and the title's on the line? Very much diminished that championship to be like, oh, you forgot that this was a title match? As she was about to get out of the ring, she literally goes, oh, and it's a title match. Like, what? Regardless, this whole match itself, the match itself was fine. It was fine. But the whole thing just made all these women just feel like a gaggle of women. No one felt special. No one stood out or any of that. I mean, if you want to say anybody stood out, it would be Saraya and Britt, because they're the ones that spoke. But not even your champion. Toni Storm stood out. They did nothing to make her stand out. She just felt like another woman on the roster.
You should at least have her speak, though. I mean,
exactly.
If she's the champion. And I'm sick and tired of these like WWE references that they keep making.
It's never gonna stop.
It is extremely lazy booking. You can't think of if you can't think of anything else than just to make AEW references, like WWE references, that's a problem. That is a problem.
So as far as the Saraya one goes, I wouldn't call it a quote unquote booking problem, but it's more of a, if you're allowed to go out there and cut your own promo and your promo's not scripted and you have to take that dig, it actually makes you look bad, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's not per se a booking thing, because Tony's not, I don't think Tony told her, go take some WWE digs. But who knows, maybe he did. Maybe he's like, hey, if you want to take a dig at WWE, I don't care. I don't know, maybe he did. But that's all, I would put that all on Saraya. Yet, like you said, it looks bad. And it does. It makes whoever does it look bad. Especially now that, like we said, we're going into year 4, and they're still doing this. I get it. Saraya's only been here for a week, so she hasn't had time to get her dig in. But what dig does she really have on WWE? Oh, they wanted to keep me safe? They paid me to sit home and didn't add any time to my contract? They easily could have said, you sat home for a year and a half, now you have an extra year and a half on your contract. No. They let her sit home and let her still have her Twitch, unlike everybody else in that company. So I don't think she has anything to complain about as far as WWE goes. Yeah, they didn't let her on TV. They didn't bring her to TV and use her on TV. But honestly, it could have been a lot worse with her as far as her WWE the last 2 years there. It could have been a lot worse. As far as this match does go, Toni Storm and Serena Deeb, I felt like there was nothing of consequence, nothing of note that happened until the end. Like, there was a couple of times when Toni got thrown out of the ring, the heels attacked her, the baby faces pulled her out of it, and that was it. Really, the only thing of note was that Toni hit a second rope pile driver to actually win the match, which actually looked pretty cool. Menard says, go for it.
So is Saraya basically just going to be the one on television that's like running the women's division?
Your guess is as good as mine. I have no clue.
Because she really didn't like explain her role like really well.
Right.
Because all she said was like, I can't wrestle.
Yeah. Like, she said nothing of note for 5 minutes. Nothing at all. She's like, and on commentary, because I tweeted out, what change did she just make? Or something like that is what I tweeted. So I was like, oh, she hasn't made any yet, but she will. And I'm like, she literally said, the first thing she said on commentary, other than how to say her actual name, she said, I just made a change in this company, and I will make more in the future. What change did she make? Saying that this is a lumberjack match? Also, I thought it was funny. I can't remember if it was Taz or Excalibur. I think it was Excalibur said, well, no, Taz said lumberjack. Excalibur said, no, they're lumberjills. And Saraya goes, actually, we want to feel the inclusion. So it's just lumberjack. We're all lumberjacks. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like in WWE, everyone's just superstars. There's not superstars and divas. So she's like, no. It's not lumberjacks and lumberjills. We're just all lumberjacks. So cool.
Also, I did think it was a little confusing when like Britt Baker was like backing away from Saraya, like all scared, like acting like she was gonna punch Britt in the face. Like, she already said she can't fight. Why are you backing away all scared?
Hey, maybe she was scared to touch her and hurt her, like for reals. Shoot, maybe she's like, oh, you're still so messed up that I don't even want to accidentally bump into you.
Also, like, she was very quick to get out of the ring because
yes,
she was worried. You could probably tell she was worried that there was going to be a fight already to happen.
Well, that's like when I said she was like, this match is a lumberjack match, and she was getting out of the ring and then goes, oh, and the title's on the line. As she was getting out of there, she was trying to get out of there as quickly as she could. So I don't see. I've always been a fan of Saraya, Paige, whatever you want to call her. I've always been a fan of hers. But I don't honestly see what advantage there is of her really being there. At least right now, I know this is only the first week that she's actually done anything. And maybe we just don't know the full story, the big picture yet. But based off of tonight, I don't see any advantage of it at all. Also, Magamore says, why was Penelope Ford out there? Because it was a lumberjack match and all the heels came out together. That's all it was. And if you're going to do blood and guts, well, you need another heel for the heels. So there you go. That's what I think. So, but yeah, I don't know what positive. Well, I shouldn't say positives. I don't know what. Oh, how do I say this? How do I say this without sounding like an asshole? I don't know what good she's going to bring right now. They don't need to bring in more women. They need to do better with the women they have that they don't use. Just saying. Especially if it's somebody that isn't going to wrestle. What is she going to do? I mean, is she going to manage somebody? Or is she just going to come out here and go, all right, the women, or is she going to be like a GM for the women? Is she going to be, all right, the women are doing this tonight? Or, Tony, you're going to defend your title? And I don't know. I have no clue. There's too many questions. Nothing got answered, in my opinion, tonight at all. But as far as the match does go, like I said, Not much really happened in this match. There was a couple cool spots. Storm missed the sweet chin music. Deeb got the roll up at a 2. Storm then blocked a dragon screw into a roll up, but Deeb countered into a sit down and neck crank. Storm countered into a roll up of her own as Jamie Hayter tripped up Storm and pulled her to the outside. The heels beat her down before the baby faces basically pulled her out of that. At one point, Deeb sank in the Serenity Lock, but Storm got to the ropes for the break. Challenger went for the Deeb Tox, but Storm got a backdrop. Deeb rolled through a top rope crossbody and got a single leg crab. At one point, they were fighting on the ropes. Toni Storm then hit a second rope pile driver and picked up the victory to retain the AEW Women's World Championship, or the interim AEW Women's World Championship. So again, just felt like a match, and nothing special.
So here's the thing. So tonight they were saying like, oh, Serena Deeb pinned Toni Storm, so she automatically gets a title shot. She had a title shot last week in that Fatal 4-Way match.
Yes, this is what I said yesterday in my news video about this match taking place. When Tony Khan announced it, I said, this is ass backwards booking. Technically, if you think about it, logically, this match should have been last week at Grand Slam. Just a straight up singles match. Toni Storm, Serena Deeb on a big stage. Because I felt like doing this as a lumberjack match hindered this match. I feel like Serena Deeb and Toni Storm, straight up, one-on-one, no bullshit, could be a really good match. But the whole Saraya stuff early on kind of killed the whole vibe and mood of everything. Having it a lumberjack match took some of the emphasis off of the two women in the match itself. And it's like, why did we need the 4-way last week? Oh, because Britt Baker needs to be in there. And so if Britt Baker is going to be in there, the only way to justify Britt is also putting Athena in there, who, lost the week before. So yeah, it really made no sense why this match wasn't the match we had. They did last week. Also, Howard Bubba says AEW Blood and Guts match are dangerous for women. What? WWE does War Games. It's the same thing with the women. We've seen 2, 3 women's War Games matches. We're getting one at Survivor Series. So why is it more dangerous in AEW, but WWE could do it and the women are fine? I get it. Maybe the women aren't going to bleed and stuff as much as the men do in Blood and Guts. But I don't see any reason why you can't have a women's Blood and Guts match at all. And to say that they're too dangerous for women, well, I'm just going to say it. No offense. Fuck you, Hot Rod Bubba. That's kind of a little bit of a sexist comment there, saying that the women can't do the same thing the men can, when in other companies, they do that match with women. Just saying. From the back, Tony Schiavone was interviewing The Acclaimed with Billy Gunn, who said, next Wednesday is National Scissoring Day. And we're getting some special something with all these men. I don't know what it's going to be, but they're going to be on the show for National Scissoring Day. Owens also said that on Rampage, there's going to be an open challenge for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Keith Lee then interrupted and said that they don't deserve to be the champions. They only won last week because Billy Gunn got involved. They were carried to those titles. Gunn told Lita, tell Swerve he had 2 words for him. And everyone's probably waiting for suck it. And they said, scissor me. They're just trying to make the Acclaimed the new version, the new age Outlaws. It's kind of working. And also, since Saturday, that wasn't a shot at DX at all. At least I didn't take that as a shot at DX. Him saying, I got 2 words for you. Scissor me. I just see that as Billy Gunn adapting an old catchphrase he used to have, to be honest. I didn't see that as a shot at DX, even though, WWE basically is doing a DX reunion without him.
Also, I don't know if I like the idea of having Keith Lee as a heel, at least in this situation where he kind of act like a heel tonight. But I just don't really like the idea of having Keith as a heel.
I get that. And I think how do I say it? Well, I don't think he was a full on heel. I can see where you would think he did some heel things, maybe, or said some heel things. But I think it was more of just a disgruntled former champion who felt like he got screwed. Other than he's now a heel. Now, granted, if they want to turn, I think eventually either him or Swerve are going to become a heel. I don't know which one, but one of them, because they're eventually going to feud because they've been teasing them feuding since they put them together. So I don't know. Would you prefer Swerve to be the heel if they eventually split him?
I can see Swerve being the heel because he can get mad at Keith saying, "Hey, why didn't you break the pin?"
True. Well,
in that tag match.
He did try.
Or you could go.
He did try.
He did try.
And Bowens stopped him at the legit last split second. Bowens, if you remember, Bowens jumped over the pin and put himself in between them and Keith Lee at the very last second. So, just saying. But I get what you're saying. He could be like, you weren't there for me. Why didn't you stop Billy before Billy got to me or something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Or you could go Keith Lee could turn heel because if you don't know, Swerve was the one who eliminated Keith in that battle royal or whatever you want to call it.
Josh in the YouTube or the Twitch chat says he was a bad guy in PWG and he was very good at it. True, but I just feel like
Keith Lee?
Yeah, Keith Lee. But I mean, I think he could be fine.
I just feel like in today, like I just think like with Keith Lee, it's like so over as a baby face though.
Right.
Like it would just be hard for like people to like have that change of him being a heel.
No, I was thinking the exact same thing. I think
because like we've seen Swerve as a heel. Mm-hmm. Remember in Hit Row, like, and he was pretty good at it. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, since Saturday here says Swerve was the best heel in NXT. I don't know if he's for sure not the best heel in NXT because I feel like the best heels of all time in NXT are either Tommaso Ciampa or Adam Cole. But he was up there. I would say for sure he was up there. So, actually, in another segment, so you said the only thing you didn't like was the women's segment. I didn't like the women's segment or this next thing because it's just kind of dumb. Butcher and the Blade were arguing with Private Party. And Andrade and Jose were trying to calm them down, and they're like, you guys need to stop bickering in this. You guys work for Andrade. Andrade's your boss. You do what he says. And I'm like, I never liked the whole one wrestler is the boss of another wrestler. Now, if you say, like, with the JAS, Jericho is the leader of a group, that's one thing. But I never liked the groups or the storylines of, I'm your boss, you have to do what I say kind of thing. Kind of like MJF and Wardlow. I always said that I wasn't really a fan of all of that, of Wardlow must do what MJF says because he owns his contract. No. Tony Khan owns their fucking contract. So I've never liked this whole Private Party can't be themselves because they worked for Matt Hardy. Now they work for Andrade. It's like, no, it's stupid. I've never liked any of that stuff, but they're all arguing because Butcher and Blade want the title shot on Friday. But Private Party also want the title shot on Friday. So what happens? They just both end up getting the title shot on Friday. It's like, whatever.
How'd they earn it?
Well, you don't have to say that this time because the Acclaim said we are issuing an open challenge on Friday. So technically you don't have to. Yes. You don't have to, because it was like back in the day when every week a new person would challenge Cody for the TNT title because Cody was holding an open challenge. So I guess there's your workaround for they don't have to earn it. So in a weird little spot that actually didn't play to anything, the Private Party's about to walk off, and Tony Schiavone goes, hey, hold on, guys. I usually don't like to intervene like this or get into people's personal business, but I feel like I have to say something. And then he goes like this and goes, and there's Matt Hardy. And then Matt Hardy said what we all assumed Tony Schiavone was just about to say, that they shouldn't have to listen to Andrade. Andrade's not good for them or their careers. They should try to get out of their contract with Andrade. And once they do and once they can, he will be there ready for them, but he will be there for them, not Big Money Matt. Whatever. Like I said, we had a squash match. Go for it.
I mean, maybe it's just a way for them to get like Private Party out of there because maybe they decide they want to do something with Private Party.
They should.
I don't know.
Private Party's freaking
They
great.
should. Oh yeah, I love Private Party.
Yeah,
They're much more than just guys with Andrade or guys with Matt Hardy. They need to do something with them.
like when AEW first started, I felt like Private Party were going to be tag champs in a year. I thought they were going to be, if not tag champs, but like outside of like the Bucks and the Lucha Bros, I thought they were the third best tag team. And then over the last year and a half, it's like if I'm going to be completely honest, before tonight, I forgot Private Party was still in this company. If I'm going to be completely honest, I literally saw Private Party and they go, oh, they're still here? That was my first thought when I saw this segment. Then we had a squash match. It was Ricky Starks against Eli Isom. They said, hey, if you ever watched Ring of Honor back in the day, you'd know who Eli Isom is. If you didn't, then you don't know who he is. Basically,
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, he's just a guy in Ring of Honor. He really didn't do much of anything. But Starks beat him with a spear. And there we go. A spear and a Rochambeau. We then got the card for Friday and next week. Going up this week on AEW Rampage, John Silver will be taking on Roosh. The Acclaimed will defend the AEW World Tag Team Championships against both the Butcher and the Blade and Private Party. Willow Nightingale will go one-on-one with Jamie Hayter. Hook will be in action, or at least appear, I don't know. Lee Moriarty will be taking on Fuego del Sol. As far as next week's AEW Dynamite, the anniversary special, MJF will be taking on Wheeler Yuta. It'll be National Scissoring Day, and we'll get something with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Luchasaurus with Christian Cage in his corner will be in action. Darby Allin will be going one-on-one with Jay Lethal, and Bryan Danielson will team with the ROH Pure Champion Daniel Garcia to take on the Ring of Honor World Champion Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. So that's everything announced for next week and Friday, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4 matches announced for next week's show. So I would say 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 or 4 more matches get announced throughout the week. Then we had the main event. First, Jericho, the Ocho, as they call him now, against Bandito. And they tried to push so hard on commentary and fucked this all up of, oh, only Sting has more world titles in AEW than Chris Jericho. And like they said it, and then they backpedaled and then tried to say it again a different way, because the first way they said it, because they're like, Sting's and they're like not knowing what to say, and they're like, Sting's a 14-time former world champion, and the only person in AEW that's had more world titles than Jericho, who's got 8 now. And they're like, but previously, Sting has won 14 world titles outside of AEW, and Chris Jericho, and they're trying to justify what they're saying, and they're like making it sound like Sting's a 14-time AEW world champion or something. I got what they were trying to say, but then like they thought maybe they said it wrong, or someone thought they said it wrong, so they tried to reiterate it, and it just got all flubbed. But whatever. Sting's a 14-time world champion. Jericho's an 8-time world champion. And basically what they were trying to say is Jericho, in his career, has had more world titles than anybody in this company except Sting. This is basically what they're trying to say. Bobby Cruz did the ring announcing. Ian Riccaboni was on commentary. And Jericho, instead of shaking Bandito's hand, flipped him off, basically saying that's the code of Jericho. Or the Jericho Code of Honor is what he said earlier. After some early strikes, Bandito used his speed to take Jericho to the outside with a tope, over the top twist and a twisting crossbody. I felt like the first couple of minutes, they didn't really mesh well, but once all of a sudden something just all of a sudden clicked in this match, and they were off to the races, and this match was great after the first 3-4 minutes or so. Not even that long, maybe the first 3 minutes, and then this match was just, oh heck yeah. Also,
it was honestly a good way for like Bandito to try to get over with the fans, because he hasn't really done much since like Ring of Honor.
So
I don't think he has.
I mean, I know he's worked a couple indies in San Francisco. for West Coast Pro Wrestling. But also, I didn't catch it at all. Where'd the blood on Bandito's mask come from? Did you see?
He might have just had. I saw it.
Was
he
it?
might have just had like a bloody nose or something, or a bloody lip, and it just like got on his mask or something.
Was like,
I don't know.
Because I was like, was that there when the match started, or did something happen? I missed it. Like I was literally.
It wasn't there. It was not there when the match started.
I didn't think so.
It was probably just he had a bloody nose or bloody lip or something and just got on his mask. Because I didn't see Jericho bloody.
No, because that's the first thing I looked for. Once I noticed the blood on Bandito, I'm like looking at Jericho, and I'm like, Jericho ain't bleeding. Where's that? And the way you can kind of tell that it had to have come from the inside, because it was like, it wasn't, the blood on it wasn't prominent. You could see it was faded, like you had to look through the mask or whatever. So probably like you said, busted lip or nose or something. But you said, what has Bandito done since Ring of Honor? Bandito has actually worked, holy crap, 60 matches this year in 2022 so far. Well, yeah, 60 matches counting tonight. So he's been getting out there in both America and Mexico. He's worked a bunch of GCW. Of course, he's done PWG, because I believe he's still the PWG champion. He's done West Coast Pro Wrestling. He wrestled WrestleCon. Bunch of AAA stuff, Prestige. So yeah, he's been getting out there. He did 2 matches for Impact. I didn't even know that.
I did know the Impact one. I knew that.
So yeah, he's worked 60 matches this year. Holy crap, that's a lot. That's a lot. But back to the match. Jericho gained control off of a brawl on the floor, but Bandito answered with a gorilla press over his head. They then went to, well, so they were in picture, and then because I watch on the TNT app, I don't see the picture, kind of. Sometimes I'll see the picture, sometimes I won't, which is very weird on how the app does it. Then they come back, and they just randomly go, the British Royal Navy members came to the show tonight from New York. We're glad to have them here. And I'm like, what the fuck? What does that have to do with any of this? And if you're going to say it, show them. Who? The British Royal Navy members? Who's the British Royal Navy? Like legit the Navy of Britain, or whatever you want to call it? Like I was super confused by that. But Excalibur was like, we want to welcome the British Royal Navy for coming to the show tonight, coming down from New York. And I'm like, okay. Bandito did some stalling, vertical suplex. He stalled the vertical suplex for nearly a minute. Bandito then did a Eddie Guerrero shimmy on the top rope before a great looking frog splash that only got a 2. Jericho hit a flapjack to regain control, followed by multiple corner clotheslines. Bandito got a front suplex on Jericho out of the corner, but dove right into a code breaker for a 2. Both men went to the apron, had a brief strike exchange, and Bandito hit a Hurricane Rana off the apron to the floor. There was a long strike battle from their knees to their feet. Finally, it led to Bandito crumbling. He did, though, at one point counter Jericho's springboard corner drop kick into a springboard sunset flip for a 2. Bandito missed a dropkick at one point as Jericho hit a lion salt for a near fall. Bandito floated over a lariat attempt into a snap crucifix bomb for a 2 of his own. Jericho then countered the X knee into the walls of Jericho, which was more. Oh, hold on, is this the spot? So this was no. Okay, I'm thinking the wrong. No, this was it. So he puts him in the walls of Jericho, and like Taz goes to say walls of Jericho. But then Excalibur says, no, it's the Lion Tamer, right? As like no one on commentary knew what to call this, because Taz says walls of Jericho. And then Ian Riccaboni says something about like the low bridge of the walls of Jericho. And then Excalibur calls it. He says, no, it's the Lion Tamer. And then you just hear Taz go, Lion Tamer. I'm like, come on, guys.
Which one is it? I mean, come on.
So technically it's the Lion Tamer. Walls of Jericho is you're fully over in the Boston Crab. Lion Tamer is the knee to the top of the back. Lion Tamer is when you drive the knee into the back. That's the difference. But it seems like
maybe they
didn't know.
I mean, maybe they thought it was going to be the Walls of Jericho, but when they actually saw it, it was Lion Tamer, like, all right, never mind, it's the Lion Tamer.
Exactly. So Jericho here does a spot I've never seen in a Bandito match. I don't know if they've ever done this before, but this is a brilliant spot for a Bandito match. He pokes him in the eye, but not just that. He then pulls Bandito's mask down just enough to where Bandito can't see. I'm like, why don't more people do this to Bandito? It's not like you're cheating. I mean, technically you are, but you're not using any foreign objects or poking the eye or anything to pull his mask down and blind him. That's his fault for having a mask easily pull and downable, I guess you can call it. But he pulls the mask in his face. And then it's small, gets small package. Jericho pulls out the legs for a second Walls of Jericho attempt. And he pinned him to pick up the victory. No, tapped him out. Tapped him out. He tapped out, and Jericho remains the champion. But I think more people need to do that with Bandito. You just barely pull his mask down, and he can't see. Bobby Cruz was about to announce Jericho as the winner, and Jericho goes, no. Do it in the ring. Do it in the ring. So Bobby Cruz gets in the ring, and he goes, and your winner and still Ring of Honor World Champion, Chris Jericho. Jericho then says that he is going to desecrate the legacy of ROH. He is going to destroy the legacy of Ring of Honor. And that is going to start by taking out all of the former great world champions of Ring of Honor. And he will start that with Bryan Danielson in his home country of Canada on October 12th. He said that I will not only take out and beat all former big-time Ring of Honor world champions, but commentators, referees, and ring announcers. Jericho then punches Bobby Cruz and gives him a Judas effect as the show goes off the air. So there we go. That was AEW Dynamite. Overall, a really good show with a bad segment match and then a kind of whatever segment.
What next? Like next week, is Jericho going to attack Ian Riccaboni since he attacked like the ring announcer?
I would say that's a good question. I say so. No Ring of Honor title is on the line, so that means no Ring of Honor personnel. That's what they do. They only bring in the Ring of Honor people if the title's on the line. So whether that's commentary or at least, yeah, that's what I'm. If I'm thinking correctly, I think maybe we've had commentary, but there's no just straight up ROH match on the show that we know of so far next week. But I think next week is a week where we don't see any of that. And he just does the tag match with Sammy and then with Sammy.
Or maybe they do it.
Go for it.
Or maybe they do it on the anniversary show since Jericho's defended the title against Danielson.
Well, no, that's not the anniversary show. Next week's the anniversary show. The title's on the line, the first Canada show. So October 12th in Toronto is the first time AEW is running Canada. That's the Jericho Danielson title match. That's
yeah, they can do it.
Yeah, they can do it there for sure.
There,
yeah.
But
that's in 2 weeks. So next week, the 5th, is the anniversary show. In 2 weeks is the Toronto show. So yeah, I can see something happening there. Honestly, one way they should do it is do it on a Rampage when Jericho's on commentary, and then have like Caprice Coleman on commentary, since technically he's a wrestler, and then him and Jericho can get into it there, and Jericho knock him out or something.
I mean, they could do that.
I think that would be, if he's going to take out any quote unquote commentator, I think that would be make the most sense, especially since Caprice Coleman's a wrestler anyways. But that's it, guys. That's everything that happened tonight on AEW Dynamite. Overall, like we both said, for the most part, pretty good show. With that, now I want to know what you guys thought of the show. Remember, you could do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Remember, text your thoughts to 510-906-1341. But before we get to that, we got to check all these polls. Let's refresh these as far as the Twitch poll does go. 50% liked tonight's show. 33% didn't like tonight's show, and 17% thought it was just all right. As far as the Twitter poll does go, 45% liked it, 30% thought it was just all right, and 24% didn't like the show. Finally, the YouTube poll, 57% liked Dynamite, 27% thought it was just all right, and 16% did not like it. Some of the comments here. First says, Bandito versus Jericho was great, along with Juice Robinson and John Moxley. This one says, great episode. First says, I liked it. I like all the matches. I liked all the matches, and I want to see. I liked seeing Serena show up. They wrote that a little weird. Now, this comment says it was okay. This comment says mid, very mid. Honestly, feel like week after week, AEW is not must see anymore. Now, I wouldn't go that far saying that it was not must see, because I think most weeks the shows are still really good, and there's compelling things on the show every week. So I wouldn't go as far as to say none of AEW is not must see. Rampage is never must see anymore. But Dynamite, they've always got good things on Dynamite, I will say.
Also, the thing about Rampage is if they're just gonna like do like the tapings like after Dynamite and like the spoilers are already out there, then what's the point of watching Rampage if spoilers are already out there?
Exactly. Unless we hear, like, there's been like when they did Pac versus Andrade, and all the spoilers were, this match is phenomenal. One of the best matches we've ever seen in AEW. That got me to watch Rampage because of how much people hyped up that match that were there live. That is one thing that the spoilers can help with. If people that are there say this match is amazing, but last week in the Jungle Boy match, the best parts of that match, because everyone raved about that match live, the best parts of that match they put during the picture-in-picture commercial. So that's the thing they got to figure out. But I get what you're saying, though. I know not this Friday because they already filmed Rampage tonight. Next week, Rampage is live because they're doing Rampage and Battle of the Belts Friday, October 7th, live on TNT. Because Battle of the Belts was supposed to be on the 8th, but they didn't want to go head-to-head with Extreme Rules. So they, instead of taping Battle of the Belts on Friday and airing it Saturday, they're just going to air it live on Friday. So technically, next Friday, a 2-hour Rampage, if you really want to call it. Think about it in those terms. As we move forward, text messages. Mr. says, who are the next challengers for the AEW World Trios Championships? Hell, I don't care about who the next challengers are. I just want to say, where are the champions themselves? We didn't see any of them tonight.
They didn't even acknowledge that they were the Trios champions.
They didn't even acknowledge that they had Trios titles, which, the same thing with that All-Atlantic belt that Pac has. They rarely, if ever, even acknowledge it's a thing. This person says, how long are the contracts of okay, this I don't know. First off, Bandito doesn't have a contract. So that we can't answer because there's no contract there. But it says, how long are the contracts of Mox and Bandito? Bandito doesn't have a contract. Moxley, I don't know. I would think maybe, and this is just me spitballing, maybe Moxley's contract's up next year. We had heard that it could have been up last year, but I don't know if he signed a 3 or a 5. He's still there. I don't know. And this person also says Paige is the general manager of the women's division. You don't know that. We don't know that. No one knows what Paige's role is. And she's not Paige. She's Saraya. This person here says the whole women's segment was awkward. And people still calling her Paige. I get it. I said it earlier in a video. I accidentally called her Paige, so whatever. When Paige got on commentary, it got even worse. Yeah, she wasn't. I've heard her do really good commentary in WWE. This wasn't that. Maybe
she was a great GM on SmackDown.
Oh, phenomenal. Phenomenal. But here's the thing. she had WWE scripting her for all that. Tonight, when she was talking and doing all, she didn't have no script. And she came off kind of weird, awkward, kind of So maybe she's one of them that benefits from the scripted promos. Who knows? Maybe. She's a good talker, but what we saw tonight wasn't good. Like, her delivery was good, but the stuff she said and all that wasn't. And there was a point when she brought all the women into the ring, I did feel like she kind of got lost on what she wanted to say. So maybe she could be one that benefits from the WWE scripted promos.
I mean, yes. And, I said this last week or a week before. This is her first, big company that she's working for that's not WWE. And they're not, scripting the promos for her. So this is probably something that she needs to get used to.
Exactly. And
we'll give her time and stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's why I said, too many questions tonight, but there's still time. Hopefully quicker rather than dragging this out, we figure out what she's actually going to do in AEW. So back to the question here. This person says it was awkward. Her on commentary was even worse. The women's division is doomed. They might as well just give them their own show. That way you could put more focus on the women's division and figure out what direction they want to go in with the women. Well, here's the issue with that. If people already, quote unquote, don't care about the women's segments on Dynamite, then, and you can say whatever you want to say about what I'm about to say, I don't see an all-woman show on AEW working. I just don't see it working. What are you going to do with it? You're going to put it on TV? No. You're going to put it on YouTube for 300,000 people to watch? I don't even think it would do that much, to be completely honest, because we've already learned AEW doesn't book their women's division well. So why should we care about an AEW booked all-woman show? Will you give us an hour of just women's matches? And then what is it going to just be? Another dark where there's no storylines and it's all just match? Then what good does that do? So I don't think they need an all-woman show. I mean, we learned from WWE that doing an all-women's pay-per-view didn't work. Like, that pay-per-view didn't draw. Evolution, for as much as people want a second Evolution, they're not doing another all-women's pay-per-view because the first one didn't draw. It didn't bring in, people were like, oh, you do an all-women's pay-per-view, you'll get new subscribers to the network, and this, it didn't bring in a good number of new subscribers. And they ran the Nassau Coliseum, and that they underwhelmingly, they were very underwhelmed with the amount of tickets they sold for that show. So we've already seen, and no offense, all-woman show, at least right now or within the last couple of years, didn't work. And I don't see AEW doing anything that can make one work. WWE ran I thought Evolution was a good show. I liked the Evolution pay-per-view. But for some reason, it just didn't work. The masses, I guess you could say. So, an all-woman show for AEW, I would have no faith in. First says, it needs to be just one women's championship in AEW. The women aren't that much of a focus to have two separate championships. Yes and no. I like that they have the two, because then, yes, you're not focusing enough on the women, but then you can at least say that you have two prominent women in your company at all times. But hey, just a thought. I got no say.
I mean, WWE has women's tag belts, and same with Impact. So are you gonna say they shouldn't have two title belts?
Well, I mean, they shouldn't have the NXT women's tag titles. Honestly, they should have done with the WWE women's tag titles what the original plan was. Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. All three brands for that belt, or those belts. I mean, I would say cut the NXT women's tag titles, but whatever. It's a moot point, because we can come out here on the internet and bitch all we want, but it's not like much as we complain about it are going to make a change. I'm just being fully transparent. You can give all the opinions you want. I can give all the opinions I want. Everybody in the text messages and the comments can give all the opinions they want. But it's not like we're going to be listened to. They're still going to do what they want. So, any closing thoughts on the show?
I'm just curious what they're going to do next after Bryan Danielson. Who do you think will challenge next for the ROH belt? Because I can see it. They'll probably just start with guys who are Ring of Honor champs who are now in AEW, and maybe bring in someone who's not really signed anywhere, challenge for the belt, who was a former Ring of Honor world champion.
I mean, if you just want a random opponent for Jericho that he can just go out there and beat and have a decent to good match, or maybe a little better than good, you can do the Danielson match, and then maybe the next one could be Christopher Daniels or Jonathan Gresham.
I mean, I could definitely see him doing Daniels. I don't know about Gresham because didn't he say he wanted out of AEW?
Something like that. I don't know exactly, because he also said something about taking time off or maybe retire. I don't know exactly what his stuff is right now. So, yeah, probably not Gresham. But I could see Daniels, maybe Joe. But Joe's also got the television title, so maybe they don't want to do that one yet. Screw it. Jay Lethal. Jericho and Lethal.
Oh, yeah. But do they do heel versus heel, though? Is the real question.
I don't see. AEW does enough of. AEW does enough of just competitor versus competitor instead of heel versus heel kind of thing. Because, I mean, in all honesty, they did the Ricky Starks Eli Isom match tonight. That's babyface. So if it's going to be just for somebody for Jericho to beat, I don't think it matters if. I mean, eventually, it just all depends on. We don't know how many of these former champions Jericho's going to go through. That's the big question. How many is he going to have to face? I mean, do you see him holding the title long?
I mean, they probably want him to hold the title until they actually get like a TV deal, because I think maybe their plan is to like basically just say like, hey, we have Chris Jericho as our champion,
right?
And stuff, so it can like help like boost their like chances of getting a TV deal.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I said last week as well. But yeah, I mean, the other question is, when's the next ROH pay-per-view? Is Jericho going to work that show, and is he defending the title on that and against too? So that's the other thing. It's like, we could say, oh, he could face this person on Dynamite and this person on Rampage, but also they can't go through too many of the bigger names because he needs somebody to defend against on the next pay-per-view, which I assume would probably be Final Battle in December, November time. So that would be a good one. Keep the title on Jericho till at least the next pay-per-view. Ooh, I got it. You have Jericho hold the title all the way to next March. And he can lose the title at Supercard of Honor to Daniel Garcia. That's like one of the bigger tentpole Ring of Honor shows.
And it also like gives time for like Garcia to like lose the belt to whoever they want to put it on next.
Right. Good time for him to lose the belt and get built back up.
Mm-hmm.
Aha, Bubba says, no review for Monday Night Raw this week? No, because I went and got my car washed on Monday, and while going through the car wash, my tire got punctured. Then I had to go get new tires on my car, and that took like 5 hours almost, and I didn't even start watching Raw till an hour in. So I started watching late, and then by the time I would have went back to watch the first hour, and then caught up, and it was a whole to-do to where I wasn't going to be able to start the podcast at a reasonable hour. So I just said, we could miss a week. So with that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited if you're watching live, or if you're watching or listening later, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, or podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. I will be back on Friday for the Friday Night SmackDown review. So with that, guys, have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your Wednesday night. And I will see you next time. Have a good one, guys.